Paul Thurrott, if you ever find yourself standing in my kitchen while my wife is cutting up chicken and asks
Okay.
you to
It's a
grab,
very specific
yes,
scenario, but
very specific, and she
yeah.
asks you to grab a Ziploc bag to put the chicken in so that it can go into the fridge. If you grab the wrong size bag, I suggest you run.
Well, so I'm guessing if I did that, your wife would handle it a little better than when you do it.
She looked at me and she's like, "Can you grab a bag to put the chicken in?" And I went for the gallon bag, and she's like, "No, wrong bag." I'm like, "It's what?"
One of the dynamics I forgot about because she's been gone. My daughter was gone all last school year and then was home briefly and then spent most of the summer in New Jersey. Was the hyper protective women band together no matter the facts thing that happens.
Mm-hmm.
And we spent 2 nights. I've recommended this comedian to you a couple of times, Nate Bagazzi. He's a Tennessee-based guy. He's awesome. Everyone should look this guy up. He's on Netflix. And he does this comedy about like talking to his wife about what time she's coming into the airport because he has to pick her up there. And she gives him the time for when she's leaving the house, not for when her flight leaves. So he can't look it up at the airport. And he kind of has this interchange where he's like, what did you think I was asking you? He's like, yeah, I don't think you know how to talk to people. He's like, if the airplane was parked in your front driveway, you couldn't get onto this thing in time. So I had an exchange with my wife that was exactly like that. I won't beat it to death, but my daughter was like, and I'm like, well, hold on a second. 2 nights ago, you were laughing your ass off at this comedian, and now it's your mother doing exactly the same thing, and now it's not funny. But those are the dynamics. You're gonna see, you'll see.
It shows up a little bit, especially like when we're voting on like where should we go for dinner. Apparently,
she'll silently start moving closer to your wife. You can see the side. You can see it because there's a 2-to-1 majority there.
Well, it's a ridiculous argument to begin with, anyways, because my kid's gonna get chicken fingers no matter where the hell we go. So it's like, do you want chicken fingers from here or chicken finger like?
Right. Why can't I go to the restaurant that has scotch?
Yeah, exactly. Like what?
Yep.
So.
Yeah. Anyway, that's our lives right there.
Anyways, it could be worse. I mean, we could have misconfigured Power Apps portals and exposed 38 million data bits.
Yeah, I didn't. I sort of implied this, but to be clear, the fault here lies with Microsoft, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because the default configuration of these portals exposes data. And you could make an argument that companies like American Airlines and whoever else it was, maybe you should have known that and done a better job. But the interesting thing about this to me is, informed of this problem, Microsoft has made a change. So, it turns out when you make it too easy to make apps, you made it too easy to make the app.
Yeah, there needs to be that security layer. I mean, what they call them citizen developers, Paul. They don't call them citizen security specialists.
That's right. Right.
Slight difference there. So
someone, I don't remember who this was. I think I saw this when I was away, but someone wrote the headline. I actually called this out to my wife because she's fascinated by my field and always wants to talk about technology. She said, the headline said, no code is really low code. Or actually, I think it was no code is really code.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's a good headline. That's accurate because there's really no such thing as no code, right? It's low code. And the dream is, it's like zero touch, zero touch deployment. There's no such thing as zero touch
wireless
deployment.
charging.
I mean, yes, right. The hope is that you minimize the touch in that case, or in this case, minimize the code, of course. And it's, I guess you could accurately call it low code, but it's code. And by the way, 20 years ago, is it really that long? 18 years ago, we were talking about PowerShell coming up, Monad at the time.
Yeah. And
this notion that system administrators, who by nature are intelligent and technical, were going to suddenly switch careers and become programmers. And I was like, I at the time I was like, I appreciate the ability to automate through what is essentially code, but I don't know that these guys are necessarily not capable is a strong word, or inclined to, they didn't go in that direction to begin with. And now you're asking us to do the same thing with normal people, citizen developers, as you call them, which is beautiful. It's like, hey, Bob, how's that spreadsheet going? I get a little, hey, what do you think? We're looking for a mobile app. What do you think, Bob? Do you can make a mobile app? Put it on the web, secure it, data up there.
Many years ago, it was right around the time PowerShell was starting to become like a thing, and like you could play with it or whatnot.
Yeah.
I had obviously zero idea because I wasn't even how old was I then? I was a teenager or something. But somebody described PowerShell to me as fancy DOS.
Fancy DOS. I think they might have been mixing up
A little bit.
PowerShell, the ISE at the time, with the term, the command prompt or whatever. But well, I guess MS-DOS had a batch. I don't want to call it a programming language, a batch scripting language, for lack of a better term. A lot of echoing, as I recall. I wrote a little front to PCs back in the day.
So, anyways, that's whatever. Gamescom's happening this afternoon. I guess depending on where you are in the world, it could be in the morning, it could be in the evening. I guess theoretically, it could even be tomorrow if you're maybe right on.
Okay.
If you're in New Zealand,
blowing my mind.
Just out here doing my job, Paul, making sure everybody's aware.
I'm not sure how excited to be about this. Microsoft has very carefully described this as previously announced games. But maybe there will be a Halo something.
I think if they don't talk about Halo at this, it'll be weird. I mean,
yeah. So maybe that's the excitement.
Because if they say it's previously announced games, I think they even said like coming this year potentially. So
yeah, right. This holidays. Yeah, that's right.
So it really time boxes like what can be talked about at this event. And
I mean, I think we're all very excited about the release of Halo Infinite 0.8 in November or whenever it comes out. Sure.
Yeah. So you can look forward to that. Not too much.
Pre-release preview.
Minecraft Dungeons heading to Steam. No surprise there. That's sort of...
Yeah, I don't really follow the Minecraft Dungeon things too much, but I guess they have a bunch of different editions, and there are physical and digital versions, and they're getting rid of the digital editions of some of the lower end versions. So there's going to be like I don't know, standard and ultimate, I think, are the two versions.
It's about as complicated as the Insider program.
Yeah, or the Office 365 / Microsoft 365 SKU system. I mean, I'm looking for Minecraft E5.
No, I need the streaming. Is that with... Do I need a bolt-on license for that? So, yeah, I think that's really
not a lot going on. Once again, the past few weeks have been like this, just slow in the beginning, and then they kind of pick up.